So now the concept is file system hierarchy. Once we install operating system, okay, along with the operating system, you will get this all the directories by default. In Windows, when you install the operating system, A and B are reserved for floppy. Whether you are using or not, A and B are reserved for floppy. It start creating the drives from C, right? So after installing the operating system, if you double click on C drive, if you double click on C drive, there you can see some subfolders like user, programs, system32. You can see some folders, default folders you can see. Right. Same like that in Linux also, after installing the operating system, you will get some default directories. Directory means folder. In Windows, we call folder. In Linux, we call directory. Only name is different. Only name is different. What is the use of folder? What is the use of folder?
Uh, Kind of separate.
In Windows, we have folder, right? We create folder, right? What is the use of folder? Folders are used for storing content. It may be files or subfolders. It may be files or subfolders, right? We can store content there. Same like that, in Linux also, we have directories. Only name is different. In Windows, we call folder. Here we call directory. Directory is used for storing the content. It may be files or subdirectories. We can create under directory. Are you getting what I'm explaining?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So direct in Windows we call folder, here we call directory. Only name is different. Purpose is same. Okay, any doubt, any point is not clear in my class, you can ask me there itself, remember. If something I'm explaining, you're not clear what I'm explaining, you can ask me. Remember, this is not at all free course. Okay, now, so the first directory under Linux is forward slash. Forward slash is a parent directory or top level directory in Linux. Forward slash is a parent directory or top level directory in Linux. Okay, so it contains subdirectories. It contains all these directories. And this forward slash is similar to C in Windows. When you open C drive, you can see subfolders. Same like that, when you open this forward slash, you can see subdirectories. So forward slash is a parent directory or top level directory in Linux. What is forward slash means? It is a parent directory. It contains subdirectories and it is similar to C in Windows. Clear forward slash?
Yes.
Everyone? And these all the directories we use in further sessions. I'm just explaining now which directory is used for which purpose. Okay. In further sessions, I will show we will use these directories regularly. Regularly, we use this all the directories. How we have C drive, D drive, E drive in in Windows, same like this. We use these directories in Linux. Okay, I'm just giving the introduction to these directories. Which directory is used for which purpose? That information I'm giving. That's it. So first one is forward slash. It is a parent directory or top level directory in Linux. Okay, it contains subdirectories and it is similar to C in Windows. And next one is root. Root is the home directory for super user. Super user means administrator. Okay, so as an administrator, in Windows we call administrator, in Linux we call super user. Only naming is different. Okay, so root is the home directory for super user. As a super user, you logged in into your computer and you are creating any files or directories, the data by default going to store under root. If you want to change the directory, you can change the directory. In Windows also, by default, it stores the data in C drive. But if you have any other partitions like D, E, F partitions, we can store the data there also. Same like that, in Linux, when a super user is logged in, by default, the data is going to store in root directory. If something is created by super user, the data is going to store in root directory. And next one is home. Home is the home directory for normal user. As a normal user, you logged in into your computer and you're creating any files or directories. By default, the data is going to store in home directory. Okay, I'm repeating again. / it is a parent directory or top level directory in Linux. Okay, so / contains subdirectories. And next one is root. Root is the home directory for super user. Super user means administrator. As a super user, you logged in into your computer and you're creating any files or directories. By default, the data is going to store under root. If you want to change the directory, you can change the directory. Otherwise, by default, it stores the data under root. And next one is home. Home is the home directory for normal user. As a normal user, you logged in into your computer and you're creating any files or directories. By default, your data is going to store under home. Here, one more point is when a user is created, along with the user, it creates home directory also. With the same username, it creates a directory also. I'm repeating. Once a user is created, along with the user, it creates a directory also with the same username. Where it creates the directory means under home. Say for example, now I created a user Tom. Immediately it creates a directory Tom. Where it creates the directory means under home. So when Tom user logged in and Tom is creating any files or directories, the data is going to store in Tom's directory, which is under home. Now you created a user Jerry. Immediately it creates a directory. What is the name of the directory? Can anyone tell?
Jerry.
Voice is not audible. Someone is speaking.
It's Jerry directory
Yeah, Jerry. Where it creates the Jerry directory?
in home.
Home. It creates Jerry under home. Now, in home directory, there are two subdirectories. One is Tom, one is Jerry. When Tom logged in and Tom is creating any files or directories, the data is going to store in Tom's directory. And when Jerry logged in and Jerry is creating any files or directories, the data is going to store in Jerry's directory. Okay, so next one is boot. How to create users? What is this home directories? We have user administration class separately. There we'll see about it. And next one is boot. Boot contains bootable files. Operating system bootable files are stored in boot. Also kernel. Up to RHEL6 version, kernel is stored under boot. Up to version 6, kernel is stored under boot. Okay, so what is kernel means? Kernel is an interface between shell and hardware. We discussed in the last session. Kernel is an interface between shell and hardware. So that kernel is stored under boot up to RHEL6 version. And next one is sbin. Sbin contains super user commands, the commands which can be executed by super user. That commands are stored under sbin. And bin contains normal user commands, the commands which can be executed by normal user. That commands are stored under bin. I'm repeating again. Yeah, Tushar. Jerry cannot access Tom's directory or Tom's data. Only super user root can access anyone's directory. Normal users don't have credentials to access other user accounts. Until we give, as an administrator, we give permission to Jerry, means Jerry can access Tom's data. Otherwise, one user cannot access another user data. They cannot enter into their home directories until they know the password. Because every user is authenticated. Password authentication is compulsory for every user, as we discussed in the last session. So root is the home directory for super user. When super user logged in and creating any files or directories, the data is going to store under root directory. Super user means administrator. Home is the home directory for normal user. When normal user logged in and normal user is creating any files or directories, the data is going to store under home. Boot contains bootable files and kernel up to version 6. Sbin contains super user commands, the commands which can be executed by super user. Bin contains normal user commands, the commands which can be executed by normal user. And the points what I'm explaining, all the points I'll share the notes also. Okay, see, when you logged in into your computer and you are executing any command, you're writing any command, so immediately it will check. As a super user, you logged in and you executed any command, means it will check in sbin directory whether the command is available or not. If the command is available, write command, if you executed, it will show you output. If command is not available, command is wrong, it will not give output. When you logged in as a normal user and you are executing any command, means it will check in bin directory. If command is available in bin directory, it will give you output. Okay, now USR. USR contains default applications. Applications which can be which comes along with the operating system. That applications are stored under USR. Applications which comes along with operating system. That applications are stored under USR. See, when you install Windows operating system, Windows Media Player comes along with the operating system, right? Some application comes along with the operating system, MS Office. Similarly, in Linux also, when you install the operating system, some applications comes along with the operating system by default. That applications are stored under USR. So USR contains default applications. Next one is var. Var contains log files, variable files, system log files, like Task Manager in Windows. When you open Task Manager, you can see how many users logged in, how much we can monitor how much RAM they are using, how much process they are using, how much like how much memory they are using, what are the applications they are running, everything you can check, right? So same like that here also, where contains system log files and also user log files. How many users logged in, what commands they are executing, since how much time they logged in, all the information it maintains. Now dev contains devices information. Device means partitions. In Windows we call partition, in Linux we call device. Dev contains devices information. How many partitions are there? What is the capacity of the partition? How much space is used? All the information is maintained by dev. I'm repeating. Forward slash is a parent directory or top level directory in Linux. Forward slash contains subdirectories. Directory means folder. And forward slash is similar to C in Windows. Root is the home directory for super user. Super user means administrator. Home is the home directory for normal user. Boot contains bootable files and kernel up to version 6. Sbin contains super user commands, the commands which can be executed by super user. Bin contains normal user commands, the commands which can be executed by normal user. USR contains default applications, applications which comes along with operating system. Var contains log files, system variable files. Dev contains devices information, devices means partitions information. etc contains configuration files. System configuration files are stored under etc directory. As we discussed in the last session, Linux works with configuration files, no setup files. Okay, so where all the configuration files are stored means under etc. etc contains configuration files. And OPT contains optional applications, applications which we install manually. They are not compulsory to install. If we want, we will install. That type of applications are stored under OPT. Third party applications. And media contains external devices information, means removable devices information like external hard disk, external DVD writers, pen drives. This all information is maintained by media up to version 6. What are these versions? We'll discuss in next session. Okay. How many versions are there in Linux? This all we'll see. That also I'll explain. And next one is MNT. MNT contains partitions and their mounted directories information. In Linux, once the partition is created, directly we cannot access that partition. We cannot double click on the partition and store the data. So how we store the data or how we access the partitions means we will give the link between partition and a directory. That is called mounting. In order to access the partition, we'll take the help of directory. Through directory, we access partition. What is this concept means that I will show in further session. We have a class partitions. We have separate class. There I will show you this practically. These all the directories in further sessions we use practically also. Okay. And next one is, so MNT contains which directory is mounted with which partition. That information is maintained by MNT. And run contains external devices information and kernel information up from RHEL 7 version onwards. From the version 7, run contains external devices information and kernel information. So these are the default directories we get along with operating system. Are you getting what I'm explaining?
Yes, ma'am. But ma'am, this OPT, like we install and let's say we install Jenkins means it will come to OPT. Is it like that?
Yeah, OPT means you want to install packet tracer software. You want to install something, your own software, Java you want to practice, SQL you want to practice, Oracle you want to practice, something C++ you want to practice. So application belongs to your softwares, whatever the software you want to practice. That applications you are installing means that applications are going to store under OPT.
Okay, and then that going to store in the sense like the jar file or like what it will store or the complete application.
Complete application, it will like in XML format it will store.
Okay.
In Windows means that is in exe, right? Exe files, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in Linux, either it may be RPM or XML extensions. It will store.
Okay, okay. No, no, that my doubt is in Windows we have a exe, right? So when we install, let's say I put my software I downloaded and put it on D drive. After installation, it will go to like maybe C drive. I don't know.
Programs,
Programs,
program files.
program file. So here OPT means we need to store here or like I didn't get. That means what it will store.
Automatically, applications which we install manually, that applications are going to store under OPT automatically.
Okay, so let's say I install like yum install git or Java. So what it will contain OPT?
So in OPT, it maintains that Java application is maintained in OPT. Application is going to store under OPT.
Okay, 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 ma'am.
In Windows, in program files, it will store, right?
Mm-hmm. No,
Supporting
no, that
files, everything.
bin we
All
are
the
setting
supporting
that
files of the
environment
particular
variable.
software, exe files, everything is going to store in program files, right? Same like that.
Correct.
In Linux means in OPT, it stores that.
Okay, okay,
In
okay,
XML
ma'am.
format, it will store it. So these directories are clear, everyone? Or if you want me to repeat, explain one more time, I will explain. Is this clear, everyone? And we are going to use these directories in further sessions. At that time also, we'll see about these directories. But what directory is used for what purpose? That is important to remember. As a freshers, if you are going for interviews, means they may ask you about these directories. In written test, you will get mostly about the directories. And also they will give options also. Everyone, is this clear?
Yes, ma'am. It's clear.
Fine. Just check these directories. Any confusion is there? Let me know. Otherwise, I'll go with another topic. Fine. Now, recommended partitions and their sizes. And before this, hardware requirement. In order to install Linux operating system in your computer, hardware requirement. CLI means command line interface, GUI means graphical user interface. This is the minimum hardware requirement for Linux. In order to install Linux. So this is the hardware requirement. Processor, RAM and hard disk. And these are the recommended partitions in Linux. They are not compulsory partitions, recommended partitions. See, in Windows, C drive is compulsory partition. C is compulsory partition because in C drive we install the operating system. So C is the primary partition in Windows, right? So remaining partitions like D, E, F partitions, those are our that is requirement. If you want, you can create. Otherwise, they are not required. They are optional only. Same like that in Linux also. These are recommended partitions. They are not compulsory partitions. These are the recommended partitions and their sizes. Excuse me. Then here, what are the compulsory partitions means? Say for example. What are the compulsory partitions in Linux means? / and swap. / and swap are the compulsory partitions in Linux. / and swap are the compulsory partitions in Linux. / is compulsory because it is a parent directory. It is a top level directory in Linux. It is similar to C in Windows as we discussed. So it is compulsory partition. Without / there is no subdirectories. So / is compulsory partition in Linux. And next one is swap. Swap partition also compulsory partitions as per Red Hat instructions. This is also compulsory partition. What is swap means? It is a virtual memory. Okay. And with the help of hard disk, we create swap memory. And the space which we created using swap, that memory we add to RAM. Swap memory is used to increase the speed of physical memory, means our RAM speed. So as we discussed in the last session, comparing to Windows, Linux is fast performance-wise. Swap also one of the reason why Linux is faster comparing to other operating systems. Because in Linux, there is an option and which is compulsory while installing the operating system, that is swap memory. Swap is a virtual memory. It is used to increase the speed of physical memory. Now, say for example, if you have 1 GB RAM, your physical RAM is 1 GB. Okay, so you can take 2 GB space from your hard disk. Okay, so, that is called swap memory. We can take 2 GB space from hard disk, and that space you can add to physical memory. Swap memory we can create 2 GB with the help of hard disk. And that swap memory space you can add to your physical memory. So 1 GB plus 2 GB means now your physical memory works with 3 GB. So for the first time without swap, your RAM is 1 GB. While loading, it will work with 1 GB space. 1 GB data it can load at a time. But now when you added swap memory, now your RAM size is 3 GB. So it can load 3 GB of data at a time. So when it is loading 3 GB of data at a time, it can work fastly, right? So swap memory is used to increase the speed of physical memory. How to create the swap memory we'll discuss. I will show you practically while installing the operating system. And there is separate class also for swap memory. But not now. It will take mostly 1 week to 10 days time. Then we have the concept of swap memory. At the time again I'll explain about swap memory. So forward slash and swap are the compulsory partitions in Linux. These two are compulsory partitions. And remaining partitions are recommended partitions. They are not compulsory. Slash home is recommended partitions. See, slash home if you don't create also, it will create automatically and it will use the space of forward slash. But if I create slash home separately means I can fix some size. See, slash home is used to store users, normal users. Whenever normal user logged in and normal user is creating any files or directories, the data is going to store under home, right? So if I specify some size like 500 GB to home directory, example, using that 500 GB space, users can store the data. If you specify something size means using the size, users can store the data. But it is not compulsory to create. If you don't create also, users can store the data. If you don't create slash home separately, it will create automatically. It comes automatically and it will use the space of forward slash because it is under forward slash. You don't want to use the space of forward slash. You want to use separate space for home means you can create it separately. No, you are using your PC Linux machine for your own. You don't have any normal users. You want to log in as an administrator only, means super user. Then no need to create this home directory. It is not compulsory to create. Okay, and next one, slash boot. Slash boot also a recommended partition, not compulsory partition. Slash boot required 200 to 500 MB space because it uses only for bootable files. So now what I'll do is while installing the operating system, I'll use a space between 200 to 500 MB. I'll fix the size to slash boot to avoid wastage. Unnecessary, it will not take space from forward slash. If you specify some size means. Okay, if you don't create it manually also not a problem. It will take automatically, it creates automatically and it takes the space from forward slash. I don't want to waste the space from forward slash means I can create it separately. And next one, slash USR and slash var. These two are recommended in server machines. In client PCs, not required. In server machines, these two are recommended. So why these two are recommended in server machines means slash USR. It contains default application. There are more than 3000 applications are available, default application. Okay, so in server machine, they will run all the applications, whether we are using or not, they will run all the applications. Right. So in order to run all the application without any interruption, they will give separately space for USR. Okay, and next one is var. Var contains log file, system log file. This is also recommended in server machine only. In server systems, they will create separately slash var. And they will give some size to slash var because slash var is very important in server machine because as an administrator, we will monitor how many users logged in, what commands they are executing, how much time they are running the machine. Every information is stored in var. If there is no space in var, it cannot store more log files, more information. That is the reason manually we create /var and we will assign specific size to /var. So it can store all the users' information. So these are the directories we create while installing the operating system. These are the recommended partitions, not compulsory. Remember, this question you will get in interviews also. What are the recommended partitions in Linux? Recommended partitions are / and swap. / is recommended because it is a parent directory. Swap is recommended to increase the speed of physical memory. And /home is recommended to specify the size to normal users. And /boot is recommended to avoid wastage. It contains bootable files. And /usr is recommended to run default applications without interruption in server machine. /var is recommended to store log files. So these are the partitions we have in Linux. While installing the operating system, these are the recommended partitions we have in Linux. Is this clear, everyone? Fine. So this is about our today's session. In tomorrow's session, mostly I'll show how to install the operating system. Okay. So any doubts you have, you can ask me. I'm stopping early because if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Otherwise, we'll meet tomorrow at same time, 9 p.m. Hi, Pawan. This is based on the real time only. As per the Red Hat course curriculum only, we designed this course. Once you just go to the website, their course content is there. So we'll follow the same content. You can check there. Anyone else want to ask anything? Thank you. Thank you for the session. Patch management, I don't think it is available in the website. If time permits, I will explain that about patches. Fine. Remaining, any doubts? The concept is clear. Yeah, fine. Thank you. I'm stopping the screen sharing. So we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.